Hello, my name is Hyle Rutledge. I'm the President and Principal Consultant of OKA, and I'd like to welcome you to OKA's introduction to 360 feedback and the Discovery Leadership Profile. Now, you're a part of this program because you've opted to, or you've been selected to, or perhaps you're really interested in, or some combination of all of these, into doing a deep dive into your leadership behaviors and the impact that you have on those with whom you work, and maybe even your family and friends around you as well. So, to do this deep dive, we're going to actually use the Discovery Leadership Profile. It is a 360 feedback tool. So let's talk about what 360 is. You may have taken 360s in your career up to now, but just as a reminder, if you have, and if you haven't, to let you know what a 360 assessment is. It's an assessment that is a way of letting you see your performance and your behavior from a number of different perspectives. And so in a typical 360, you have, of course, your own perspective, and then you pull in your leader's perspective and also your direct reports perspectives and your peers' perspectives. Sometimes people even choose to consider the perspective of family and friends as well. They throw a really wide net over their behaviors in the world. In short, this is a holistic view of your behavior, of your performance, how you show up, what you look and sound like in the world to those who are around you. Now, this particular tool, the Discovery Leadership Profile, or the DLP, is a 360 assessment that is unique and very good for our needs. It's some nice validity and allows you a lot of nice depth on your performance, yet it is pretty simple to engage and nicely accessible. So we've chosen the DLP to help take you into this behavioral deep dive. This particular tool has 10 different areas of your performance that are going to be focused in on. Direction and strategy, follow through and accountability, communication and influence, developing and mentoring others. There's self-management, business management, team management, change and innovation, trust and integrity, and decision making and problem solving. So 10 areas that are covered by the DLP, 40 items in all. There are 4 questions that actually probe each one of these 10 areas, and they probe them in terms of frequency and skill with which you engage and use these different competencies. So the probing of these different areas is done by different raters. And so what does this measure? Well, you are asked about these different competency areas. And so how frequently, how well do you do these different things? And then your answers are then compared to raters' answers. So the raters are going to complete the same assessment, and you get to compare those answers. So if you were to think about yourself and the question of, I treat everyone fairly and equally, well, so how frequently do you do that? How much do you do that? Well, that would be compared to the answers that your raters have said about this person treats everyone fairly and equally. And of course, we can look that about comparing your answer to your boss's answer, or your answer to your peers' answers, or your direct reports, etc. So I make the tough decisions without unnecessary delay. Well, my peers and direct reports will also be answering the question, this person makes the tough decisions without unnecessary delay. So it's a way of comparing apples to apples across these different rater groups and their opinions. Now, that leads to the question of, well, who are these raters? It's very important to note that you, the ratee, the person who is rated, determines who the raters will be. That's a very important part of any good 360 process. And you will actually invite the raters. So this will be something that you set up, that you choose, and that you control. So it's important when you're thinking about who these raters will be that core to any good 360 process is rater anonymity. The rater's responses are completely anonymous. So to protect this anonymity, each rater category must have a minimum of 3 raters in order to be scored. So you're going to, when you think about populating these different rater groups, think in terms of having a minimum of 3. Now, the boss category needs only 1. And so if you have multiple bosses, it can run with more than 1. But the boss category is set up, of course, to run with only 1 person in it. But that's the exception. And so where a minimum of 3 raters doesn't exist, then let's say I invite only 3 direct reports and one of my direct reports doesn't show up or doesn't log in to answer, then direct reports are thrown into the other category to kind of protect the anonymity of the direct reports who do show up. That is assuming, of course, that there are at least 3 in the other category as well. Now, the only exception to this, of course, is the boss category, which is set up, of course, to run with only 1 rater. And the self, of course, runs with only your personal ratings of yourself. So a key question is, what are the rater selection criteria? Who should you pick to do this? So some best practices in the field are to really throw a wide net. Those who have known you a long time and those who have known you for a shorter amount of time. And so you might have known John for almost 10 years now. And it turns out that Keisha, you've only known her for the month that she has worked here at the firm. And so, well, that's still, you've got really good insights from someone who's known you a long time versus somebody who's met you more recently. Similarly, those who know you really well and those who might know you more superficially. For instance, you might know one of your colleagues and they're actually quite friendly with you and you've known them in many different aspects of your life. Whereas there's another colleague who only knows you insofar as your roles around this project that you share, what you have in common with this particular piece of work. That's fine. The opinions you have from those 2 people are still really relevant at letting you know how you show up. So that's important. It's also important to note and to make sure that your raters know that they should not feel pressured into responding in a given way, that hopefully they will engage this, want to give you the feedback, and that they should answer honestly. Whatever that is, it will be helpful to you. Now, in terms of the rater selection criteria, a variety of raters allows for a better overall picture, and they should always know that their responses will be anonymous. You will not be able to tell who said what unless they're your boss, in which case the assumption is the boss should be prepared to have you know directly what she or he feels about you. So, how do you kick this process off? First, you're going to be asked to select some raters. Now, the different categories are self, that's yourself, of course, your boss, their direct reports, their peers, and their other. Now, the other category could be family and friends. The other category could be a particular work group or team or task force that you're connected with, clients, perhaps, sometimes past colleagues, past bosses you want to collect, and you want that feedback, but you're not sure where to put them. Other is a great kind of device that just allows you to capture whoever, whatever group you would like to collect. So the first thing is to invite at least 4 raters for direct reports and 4 for peers. And we say 4. Remember, 3 was the absolute minimum. We strongly encourage you to invite at least 4. More is better, and more doesn't impact the cost of this, and so having more is better. But at least 4, that allows for someone not to engage, someone not to show up or follow through with the rating, and you still have enough. So 4 is seen as the minimum of invitees. That's for direct reports and peers. If you use the other category, it needs at least 4 raters as well. You do not need to use the other category if you don't want to expand it to other groups or to family or friends. You can leave the other category blank, of course. The boss category can have as few as 1 rater. If you have multiple bosses, more can be in there, but the boss is set up to run with only 1. All you need to provide is the rater's name, relationship category, and email address. So in terms of my direct reports here, their names and here's their email address. That's all that you will need to kick this process off. And it's very important that you let your raters know that you invite them. This is going to come from you, and that you let them know that this is a process that you're driving, that this is something that you're taking part in, that this is something that you're interested in. It is not being done to you. So they should know that this is a request to kind of help you out with this information. So what is going to come is that you will soon receive, if you have not already, a soft copy, or receive this through email, of OKA's DLP 360 Participant Guide. It's a 6-page guide that actually takes you in some detail through the steps of inviting your raters and fully engaging this 360 feedback process. And so you will have in your inbox this document that will take you through the steps. And within it, it will show you this is what the pullout is going to look like, that will actually ask you, when you're ready to do so, to go on and invite your raters. You enter in the person's name, their email address, and then through a pull-down menu, you can actually select, is this the boss, is this a direct report, etc. And you will add one after the other to the list until you have them all together, and then boom, send them out all at once. And so this is, you are going to engage this online process. What are the steps of this program? First, you've done it, and the first one is a check mark. If you've gotten this far into this discussion, then you've engaged this online overview, just kind of introducing you what the concept of a 360 is and what's about to come. You are going to receive an invitation to initiate the feedback process, and you will get the OKA's DLP Participant Guide along with that. The first step of actually, when it comes to the assessment, is that you take the assessment yourself. And so you will actually engage the DLP and answer the questions for yourself about yourself. That will initiate the process of your inviting people to rate you as well. So you take it yourself. That prompts the process of initiating the feedback. Now, we are going to have, OKA is going to facilitate a few online feedback sessions in late August. You'll have details about the different options you have of signing up for one of those. And when you come to that online process, we're going to talk about what the data mean, how to read your report, and you need to be a part of one of those online sessions to actually receive via email your feedback report. We aren't going to just send that to you through the mail. It's sensitive enough that we want to make sure that you're online, you have some sense of what it means, what it doesn't mean, and where you should go with that. And then where you should go is important, because the next step is the most important step, and that's helping you to derive an action plan that details both your current behavioral assets, because there's a lot going on, and we need to kind of target those and kind of celebrate, acknowledge what's going well. And then also take a look at what isn't, what you'd like to change or work on or get better at, and having some of those next steps, some of those behaviors that you want to develop is an important part of that online meeting and the work that flows from that. So remember, this whole process here, this whole effort is here to develop a stronger leadership set of skills, so the kind of leadership abilities in you. It's designed to help create a better understanding of strengths and challenges that you have, to enable you to see how you're viewed, how you show up, what you look like and sound like to those around you, how to focus specifically on areas for improvement, and then also to help you create an action plan for personal development. So that's where we're going with all of this. I appreciate your taking the time to listen to this and kind of kick this process off, and good luck. doing this process, and good job being open to exploring your leadership feedback and making it better. Thank you very much.